Hello and welcome to North Country Matters. My name is Donna Seymour. I'm a member of the St. Lawrence County branch of the American Association of University Women, one of the civic partners for this show. Today we have Annie Chase and Sarah Sachs from the Potsdam Public Library in the studio with us to talk about all of the new things that are happening on here in the library. And Sarah, you've been in North Country Matters before, but Annie, this is your first time, so welcome to North Country Matters. I wanted to just let you both know that we started this year, 2017, with Bobby Gordon from the Computer Center here as our first guest, and this is our last show of 2017, and so the Public Library is anchoring North Country Matters this year.
Bookends.
Yes, exactly right. Perfect, yes. So Annie, you recently finished your first year as library director, and anybody who's walked into the library can see the energy and the new things that are here and kind of your vision for the library. So from your perspective, how's the first year gone?
It's been a great year. It's been an exciting year. We've done a lot, made a lot of changes. I spent the first part of the year really studying the library and the community and trying to see what are the top priorities to improve the library. Mm-hmm. So we did a survey and we received some patron comments, and we talked to the staff, and it turns out that the space is our top priority. So we started planning for a major renovation. Other than that, we rebranded the library, we have a new logo, we have a new website, and we have implemented current marketing strategies using social media and all that good stuff. So lots of changes, and we're seeing that our circulation has increased and our attendance both are steadily increasing.
So you have, and the Potsdam Public Library, I should say, was already in the 21st century, but you've moved it a little further along into the 21st century in terms of adding some of these pieces like the social media and things like that. So that's good. And we should tell people that you're no stranger to Potsdam, are you?
Yeah, I grew up here. I grew up in Norfolk and Potsdam, went to Potsdam High School, and I went to St. Lawrence University, then left in about 2001 for law school and library school in Buffalo, and then to Michigan, then Denver, and back around 15 years later.
So you're bringing that travel and work experience back home again, aren't you? So Sarah, after many years as the children's librarian here at Potsdam, you've also transitioned to a new position, that of public services manager. Tell us a little bit about what that entails.
Sure. Well, it's actually been a 2-year transition. There's been a variety of staff changing, people leaving, people taking on new roles, leaving and getting somebody else in another role. So working with that, now that we have Rebecca Donnelly has recently come on as children's librarian, and I've been able to concentrate on my two focuses. I am in charge of the Literacy is for Everyone, the Life Department, and I also supervise the people end of the circulation, so all those really great folks that you see when you first come into the library. That's the biggest part of my job.
Okay, great. Annie, let's talk facts and figures for a little bit. You just put out your annual report, and so there you go. So what can you tell us about some of the statistics on visitors here at the library and the collection, and who's using what?
So our library visits were over 100,000 this year. We've had 115,000 items checked out. Our collection is now 71,000 items, not including things on overdrive, ebooks and audiobooks. We have 7,600 card holders and over 500 new ones this year. Our audiobooks and ebooks have circulated 32,000 times, and the total estimated value of our library services, according to the NILA calculator, is over $2 million. So if you think about the amount of money that goes into the library and what we're getting out of it in return, it's just a complete win.
That is an amazing return on investment, isn't it? And you guys do an amazing amount. And of course, you're part of the North Country Library system, so what isn't in your collection is always available to your patrons, because it's just a case of ordering it from another library in the system, isn't it?
Yes, and that's a really quick process to borrow something from NCLS.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit before about needing to do something with the space. The Potsdam Public Library has been in this building since 1976, and you've got some renovations in mind for the next phase of growth. What exactly are you planning to do with the space you have now?
So our grand plan is to completely renovate the reading room area, so that main space of the library. We have received feedback from patrons, many comments about wanting to have an enclosed children's space and more private computer lab space. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to build a mezzanine over about a third of the main reading room space and enclose underneath. So that'll be glass enclosed, a children's area, and at the front, a classroom. We often have to use the community room, which is above the rescue squad area in the Civic Center, for library programs, and it just makes so much more sense to have a space to do larger programs in the library. Now we have so many programs, we're competing with ourselves for space.
That is a great problem to have, isn't it?
So in the future, beyond that, we'll also add modern heating and cooling. That's something that patrons really value, having a properly cooled space, properly heated space. And then the year after that, we'll focus on more aesthetic changes. We'd like to restore that reading room to its historic beauty. It used to be an auditorium, a theater, before the library moved in the 70s. And it has beautiful hardwood floors under that 1976 carpet. And that there's 10 more feet above that drop ceiling. So we're going to take that out and put in some beautiful lighting, some molding around the windows, make it look like a beautiful space where you'd want to sit and read for hours.
Wow, that's a very ambitious set of projects. I guess the next question is, where does the money come from? Because I'm assuming this is not going to be even remotely cheap to do.
You're right there. It's going to be pretty expensive. The library hasn't had any renovation since the 70s, and it's overdue. Everything is quite worn upstairs. So we're going to apply for New York State construction grants, and we'll phase it over probably 5 years. And this year we've asked for a significant sum, and we're expected to receive probably 65% of it through the grant. And that means we have to raise or provide 35% on our own. So we'll be doing a fundraiser this fall, and we're going to ask people to visit our website at www.potsdamlibrary.org/donate, where you can make a one-time donation or subscribe, which would mean like $5 every month, all year long, to help out the library.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I'm sure, knowing the generosity of a lot of your patrons, that they will step up and help out with this, because they'll be the ones who directly benefit when all the renovations are done. Sarah, let's talk a little bit about the library outreach programs that you have going on right now. How do you take the library to the community folks who can't get in here physically? And, what are the virtual library services and the off-site programming that you're able to do?
So you're right, we can't just stay within our four walls and serve everybody. And for years we actually have been going out to a couple of housing developments, and we found out recently that we could transition our seniors in particular to a direct service from the library system, where they get individual service. Their books get mailed to them, and they don't even have to leave their apartment. So that's been a really great transition for them. We also have a partnership with Head Start and our local Kiwanis Club in Potsdam, where we go out every other week and visit Potsdam Head Start, and then one of those visits per month, and one time in Parishville we go and give out books to the children a Kiwanis member usually reads the story, and then every kid in the class gets a copy of the same book. And we also, and this is going to be transitioning to Rebecca from me, but we also do a lot of work in our classrooms in Potsdam Central. It's great to be able to support our local school district, because those are our folks too. And as far as virtual things, you can request items from our collection 24 hours a day. As Annie said, you can be downloading ebooks and audiobooks at no cost, and you can even do research on consumer reports, all from our website with your library card.
Wow, so there's quite a lot. You know, just before I had you two come into the studio, we were talking with Andrea Montgomery from the Office of the Aging, talking about how to help seniors age in place. So the fact that you are adding this service for your patrons who might not be able to get out anymore it's a perfect fit for what we were just talking about them, and they can still stay engaged in the world in terms of reading and having access to library services, even if they're no longer physically coming into the library. So that's great. One of the things that we know about here at North Country Matters is new media, Annie, because obviously we're using this wonderful library classroom as our studio. So you've also done a lot about expanding other kinds of new media access, though, haven't you, here in the library? So talk to us a little bit about what some of those new ventures are and how some of your innovations might actually help for that.
We applied for and received a Northern New York Library Network grant for innovative technology to buy podcasting and video blogging equipment. So that means that we got a Mac, and it is completely loaded with the software that you need to do video and sound editing. We also have 2 professional studio microphones, which would, the quality of those microphones is similar to what you would find at NPR. So we're really getting everything that patrons would need to do a professional level recording, whether it's sound or sound and video. We have 2 cameras, so they can set up a dual perspective interview, like Charlie Rose. And we did get a green screen and a teleprompter, which will help people to read from a script while directly looking into a camera, which really increases the professional level of a recording.
So when will, is all that equipment here now, or it's here now, so
Yes.
there's going to be a process to educate folks about how to use that, because we're talking about some pretty delicate electronic equipment, aren't we? So it's going to have to be taken care of in a good way and educated in a good way. So
Yeah, and we just learned a little bit about that. We have a process in place now because we recently started housing lighting equipment from the St. Lawrence County Arts Council. The backdrop behind us is part of that, and they also have some professional studio lights. So this equipment will all need to come with training and will be used in the library. And we'll have staff members available to troubleshoot and help with that a little
will
bit.
there be a dedicated space for that, or will it be just use it wherever you have space available?
We don't currently have dedicated space. That's one of our major challenges in the library. We are running out of space. We're bursting at the seams, and it'll be great when we can add some square footage to have more space for those kinds of things.
Okay, good. Well, we will certainly be looking forward to that here at North Country Matters. Sarah, let's remind folks about the literacy programs that the library runs and the English as a Second Language programs that you offer here as well, because those are huge community resources for people coming in who may not have the same language skills as everyone else because of the fact that the colleges are bringing in people on a routine basis.
Absolutely. So as part of our LIFE program, we offer basic literacy and English learning tutoring services. And we have regular office hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, and also by appointment. And we also host 3 ESL classes per week, and they're run both by our staff and a couple of really great volunteers. And we're always looking for new ideas, especially for adults. So actually, this summer, I got a grant to visit the United Kingdom to go exploring some family literacy programs. And we discovered a place called the Reader Organization in Liverpool, England. And these folks train volunteers and host about 300 adult oral reading groups all over the greater Liverpool area. And we just think that something like that would be a great fit for Potsdam. So that's one of our future projects that we're working on for them. And by the way, when we talk about adult services, we are not neglecting the older teens. We're not cutting off the beginning of our literacy services at 16 and out of school. We serve anybody down to 14 years old. So if a student just needs a little extra support, we're quite willing to assign a tutor and let them do that.
And this is still homework central for lots of students after school too, isn't it?
It is. We are bursting at the seams, but we have a children's programs after school. Rebecca's just finished up a Troublemaker series that was all kind of technology-based after-school programs. And obviously, she's here as our resident expert and available anytime to help with our families.
And one of the things that a lot of school libraries and public libraries are getting into now is maker spaces. Is that something you've got on your radar screen?
I believe it is in the works. That's a question for her.
We would really love to add a makerspace. I think the community really needs a space where you can go and make a mess and use power tools. And considering that we have such a large population of college students living in dorms and apartments, they don't have garages where they can use these things. So it's really high on my agenda to start a tool library and have a place where people can use that. And we're brainstorming and thinking about where in the community that could go.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that has always fascinated me is the fact that so many young people today don't get the chance to use hand tools and actually build something. They understand the virtual world like nobody's business, but to actually physically build something is not a skill set that many times they have. So having that kind of a place where kids can use tools and learn how to use tools and learn what tools are for would be a wonderful asset. And particularly for girls who often don't take the, I guess they're called industrial arts and technology courses now in high school, because they really don't have the hands-on skills that they need to learn earlier on. So they have wonderful facilities in high schools, but girls are still not taking advantage of those classes. So anything that we can do at the earlier levels to introduce them to tools would be great, and this sounds like a wonderful entree for that. So I'll be looking for more information on that, that's for sure. Annie, one of the reasons that the Potsdam Library is so successful in meeting the needs and actually looking down the road at what the needs of the community are is because you have a dedicated funding stream. And that's thanks to the work of the late Pat Visante, who was the library director here for many years to create a library taxing district. Tell folks a little bit about how the library board manages the library and how that works and how they can get involved if they're interested in helping out.
The funding that we have, our tax base, is a real asset to the library, and we're in a much more stable position than many other public libraries because of that development. The tax base does not cover all of our costs, and the amount that we're able to increase it every year is not adequate to keep up with rising costs. So while the core of our financial basis is very stable, we still need to continue fundraising, and our Friends group does a lot for us there. They run a bookstore and sell books on Amazon for us, and we're also, as I mentioned, doing the fall fundraiser. So one of the tactics that was employed previously to try and make ends meet was to try and have staff do more with less, as is so common in small businesses. And that only ends up creating unhappiness and instability. And luckily our board now is very focused on sustainability, and that's in three different respects: environmental, but also social equity and financial stability. So we're concerned with the staff's overall well-being. Everyone needs a living wage. We need for our people to be happy and stable so that they can produce their best work. So we've restructured the staff to move in that direction. So the board, being focused on sustainability in that way, is very supportive for the library, and we're very thankful.
And it's quite a large board, isn't it? How many people are on it?
We have 9 people on the board.
Okay, and every year some of the seats come open, so people who are interested in helping to grow the library can also run for the board, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's interested, they can email info@potsdamlibrary.org, and we can get them the proper form to fill out for that.
Now remind us when your annual election is held? What time of the year?
It's in July.
July, okay.
June.
June,
Sorry.
okay, so the end of your fiscal year or the beginning of your fiscal year, depending on where it goes. So, is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to mention? Coming attractions or new programs that are not quite ready for prime time, but almost?
Wow, we have some very exciting other things coming up for adults. We recently had Maggie McKenna join our staff, and I've been watching her work. I'm not releasing any of her information, but we're going to see some amazing, exciting things for adults. Lunchtime, in the evening, you're really going to see an increase in programming starting probably right in December.
Great.
One of the programs that Maggie's working on is we're calling it a deep dive series, and she's thinking about it as a panel discussion, a series of panel discussions where we'll bring in experts to have a deep conversation to go below the surface of various topics like entrepreneurship and local politics, among many other things.
So that's going to be one of the ways that you can actually enhance the community experience, because people will have more information about a certain topic that affects our quality of life right here in this community, isn't it? So, well, that's what the library is all about. So, well, I want to thank you both for coming in today. The Public Library in Potsdam has been a wonderful resource for well over 100 years, and you've moved around a little bit, you've grown, you've modernized in all that time, and yet the core service is still the core service, and that's the beauty of an institution like this, that no matter how much you change to meet the new times, ultimately you're still who you were right at the beginning, aren't you?
Still going since 1887.
I know, it's wonderful, and it's really the premier public library in this county, and one of the premier public libraries in this whole part of the state, and that's because of the dedication of the staff and the vision that you all have. And we certainly in the community, we appreciate it, and here at North Country Matters, we're happy to have this be our new home. And I'm anxious to learn more about the green screen and a few things like that. So we'll be doing more with you as your renovations start to come to fruition and some of this new space becomes available. So thank you both for coming in. This has been a great bookend to our season. So these conversations are a production of North Country Matters, which are filmed here in the Fred W. Cleveland Computer Center of the Potsdam Public Library. This show is a civic collaboration between the American Association of University Women of St. Lawrence County, the League of Women Voters of St. Lawrence County, and our wonderful Potsdam Public Library. Until next time, remember, our North Country Matters. Thank you so much. This is such a conversation.